Good afternoon, good morning, and good day. Bear with me while I set everything up. We really need a projector. Then we'll need the articles. While we wait for the projector to come up, let's try and get an article online. Oh, there it is. Bada boom, bada bing. And then we'll check the audio. Unmute. Okay, that works. All right, so we're looking at the 28th of February. Got some exciting stuff going on after the show. Well, not right after the show. Right after the show, I'm going to sleep because we'll be hitting the road for Orlando at midnight. Yes. Then, if all goes well, then that will be something that we've been working on for quite a while. Finally come to fruition. What are you doing, baby? What do you have? Okay. Let's see. One more light in here. It's an overcast day. So that's working. Now we're gonna need a browser. Let's get one of them. Let's make a new window. Move the notes over to this screen. Of course, Apple thinks they know best. Yeah, baby. Then they don't. It's very confusing. Right, so now I need. Let's start with this one. We don't need that. All right, is chat working? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. Let's go to. Everything's moved around for whatever reason. Let's move this where it goes here. And then let's go into presentation view and share a window. Window capture. And I don't know where it gets these window tiles from. One of them is not a tab that's even open. Hasn't been open in weeks. We need this one. Then we need to adjust the size so it fits on the screen. That's a little too small. Too tall. A little too skinny. There we go. Bam. And zoom this up to make sure I'm not missing when anybody joins in. Yeah, so good day. If you couldn't tell, I got a little lost in some X threads, and then when I decided to pull up the notes, was not syncing. So trying to get the notes across took longer than I thought it would. So this is all on me. I should have made sure everything was ready to go before opening X. That wasn't a post for the show. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about the 2024 shareholder update call. And we're not going to delve too in depth into it because we did a decent job on the Tesla Live show. And, well, that would be a good place to take a look at this particular one. So let's take a look at some of the pictures and highlights because that's fun. Let's make this fit the width of my screen, please. There we go. All right. So they had a $1.2 billion GAAP operating income. Can you remember when they used to do non-GAAP and people would complain about it? It was a long time ago. Let's see. $1.1 billion GAAP net income. Not bad. And then their 1.5 billion non-GAAP income. Basically just separating out all the leasing. They experienced challenges from the Red Sea conflict and Gigafactory Berlin to the gradual ramp of the updated Model 3 in Fremont. Excluding the Cybertruck and unscheduled downtime, the cost of goods per unit Cost of goods sold per unit declined sequentially, which is nice, driven primarily by lower raw materials costs. So things are returning to some sort of sanity at the pricing side of things on the raw materials. And they're pointing out that their competitors are switching more to hybrids or nothing electrified, and they're not going to make that same mistake. Right, so their profitability and revenue were affected by their constant price adjustments, including an unfavorable mix of impact of the mix of decline, or the mix of just the trims. Decline in vehicle deliveries, partially due to the Model 3 update in Fremont and Giga Berlin. Production disruptions. Negative foreign exchange rate impact of $0.2 billion. They had growth in other parts of the business and higher FSD revenue recognition due to year over year due to the release of the auto park feature in North America. So that's not sales; it's just recognized revenue on their resales of FSD. They had a reduced selling price, average selling price due to the pricing adjustments and the mix. Increased operating expenses, partly driven by AI, cell advancements, and other R&D projects. So they're investing back in the company. And the cost of the Cybertruck production ramp. Apparently, either that's just showing up or it was higher than they had anticipated. Vehicle deliveries, partially due to the Model 3 update in the Fremont factory and the Giga Berlin production disruptions. But for positives, they had a lower cost per vehicle, including lower raw material costs and freight and duties, higher gross profit in the energy section, and including the IRA credit benefit, and a higher FSD revenue recognition year over year due to the release of Autopark. Speaking of FSD, on the call, Elon was asked if they would finally allow more of these transfer events, and he just said no. Kind of like he's wrong. Not that they won't do it, but he's wrong in not doing it. So that's what I'm saying there. All right, so um, another senior executive left. Mr. Kirkhorn, I believe, right? No, not Kirkhorn. The finance guy, the guy who does the calls with them. Uh, that might have been Kirkhorn. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was all me. I was not prepared for that. Let's look at their capacity chart. See what we're looking at. SNX 100,000. That's unchanged. 3NY over 550. That's unchanged. Shanghai 950. That might be a change. Berlin 375. I think that. I'm not saying they're changed from last time, but they're recent changes. Um, Texas 250, that's not changed, and Cybertruck at 125. Nevada is getting ready to enter pilot production semi, and the next gen platform says various, but that's going to be Texas and then Mexico. And Roadsters TBD, still in development. All right, there we go. Well, like I said, I don't want to spend too much time on it. Let's go on to this next one. Oh, you know what? I just closed it. I wanted to look at pictures because we never really do that on the Tesla Life show, and I like the pretty pictures. Yes, you have a balloon. Do you want to say hi? She says hi. She doesn't want to be on camera. Yeah, see, she says hi. She's holding a balloon right now. All right, so the pictures. Where are they? Photos and charts. This was interesting right here. The global battery electric vehicle market share, 12 months trailing. Everywhere else that's not China is in blue, and China is in green. It's pretty impressive. So this is something they touched on repeatedly in the call is that they're not just a car company. They're planning to be an AI and other products company as well. They've got solar, energy storage, they've got orbiter, lithium refining, battery cells, charging. Charging's gonna be pretty big this year now that they're opening up the network to anyone else who's joined NACS. Humanoid robots, AI compute, FSD, supervised vehicles, service and collision, insurance, and ride hail. Ride hail is something they touched on a little bit. They gave us an example of what it would look like. Uh, Elon mentioned that you'd be able to put your car on and off of it like you can as an Uber driver. And they mentioned something to the effect of using the idle cars for compute. That sounds cool, except that just Sentry mode is a pretty significant impact on my charge level and vehicle range. So I'm expecting that they'll need to compensate us before too many people who aren't just all about the mission join up, especially if they're not charging for free from solar or free supercharging, etc. At least starting at $299 a month in the U.S., $160 after probable gas savings. They have really gotten back on that probable gas savings garbage to the point where they're showing a $25,000 Model 3, but instead of just including the tax credit, they're also including the gas savings, which let a user pick that uh, rather than just showing it. It's very. We've argued with them over this before, and they've done the right thing, and then now they've regressed. Except in Europe, where I think they're legally compelled not to do that. What we're looking at here is a picture of the Model 3 Performance. It's all new this year. It's got the new seats and all the other changes we saw in the other new Model 3s, and then more. Here we go. See the Cybertruck final assembly line. Oh, and that Model 3 just had a price increase. So now if you want red paint, or if you want to do something more than just change the interior color, uh, it's gonna not be eligible for the tax credit again. Supercharger network is opening up in North America. So here we see a bunch of trucks. We've got the Mustang Mach-E, the Cybertruck, the Rivian, and the Hummer EV. Clearly, they're not all charging because the Rivian and the Mustang would need to be turned around at a minimum. Not only would they need to be turned around, but then the Cybertruck would then need to be over a space because these two would have used up an extra space. All right. So then we've got a preview of the ride hailing in the Tesla app, and it's just kind of a mock-up of what's going to look like. You push the button to summon a car. It tells you how long it's going to take to get to you. You can set the interior temperature. That's going to be annoying as a driver. Although if it was driverless, then it wouldn't matter, would it? Then they show you when you're going to arrive and your overview of your route, and you control the media. Not bad. The Dojo training cluster. They say it's not a render, so this should be a photo. Photo of the actual cluster. Nice. The Mega Pack Plus. Plus Power's Capoli Energy Storage Facility. There you go. That is beautiful. Then you've got Tesla Semi started construction near Gigafactory Nevada. And it's very near Gigafactory Nevada. You can see Giga Nevada in the background there. And then you see this new area right here. It seemed what they were telling us earlier that it would just complete Giga Nevada, and that looks more like it's not completing Giga Nevada at all, but just using more space on the site. Curious when that shape will be finished for Giga Nevada and what it will consist of, since now apparently Semi is not going in the same building. Curious. Cost grind, squeezing every penny out of the vehicle cost. And here we see what appears to be an exploded Cybertruck, minus body panels and frame. They didn't touch on that on the call that I noticed. But it looks really cool. And more charts. Okay, so now, like I said, let's go on to the articles. Cattle unveils Tesla Megapack competitor. They claim zero degradation and more capacity. Something to point out, though, is that the Cattle Megapack doesn't have an inverter in it, so you'll have to supply your own inverter or connect a bunch of them to an inverter. But the lack of inverter doesn't make up for the capacity difference. Look at this. They've unveiled Tenor, a new large-scale energy storage system to compete with Tesla Megapack, and you see it follows the same basic principle as Megapack. It's based on a 20-foot equivalent unit, basically a shipping container. The cooling than theirs. Okay. I don't even know what's in that door there, or that apartment cubby. See what looks like more ventilation. Okay, so they claim almost twice the capacity of the Megapack, and they claim zero degradation after 5 years. And where is the size? 6.25 megawatt hours for the Tenor. It'll accelerate large-scale adoption of new energy storage technologies as well as the high-quality advancements of the sector. 6.25 in the seemingly small form factor is truly impressive. In comparison, Tesla Megapack has 3.9 megawatt hours of energy capacity. So I do kind of wonder what they're up to because, again, the inverter isn't taking up that much space that they could double the capacity. Or Tesla would have their inverters separated out as well. Top comment by Larry. I've said before, this will quickly become a commodity market. Cattle is well positioned to take the lead spot because it has much greater ability to manufacture at 13 plants, and its cell-back technologies are more advanced. Tesla created the market, but this looks like tough competition. They still have a chance at Tesla, but it might be that this is going to be the Coke, Pepsi, and third-party runner situation going on with this. However, Tesla's Megapack includes the inverter, which doesn't seem to be the case for Cattle's Tenor, according to this image. 30% increase in energy density per unit area, 20% reduction in the overall station footprint. So they actually got smaller in size than their previous model, which is pretty cool. The energy Tenor, Cattle claims zero battery degradation after 5 years. Yeah, that part is nice. If the Tesla is using similar cells to their other technologies, you should be looking at 80% capacity after about 5,000 cycles. And if you cycle it once a day, let's see, 5,000 divided by 365 is what? So that's 13 years if you cycle it daily. Oh, so 13 almost 13.69 years. 69. So 13.69 to 80% of the original capacity versus 5 years with no degradation. So you would definitely have some degradation at the end of 5 years with the Tesla, but it won't be close to the 80. Interesting. Then it's going to depend on price because this is this is utility scale. So we're looking at a bunch of bean counters, and even if it's not utility, like it could be like large enterprise, like you'll see it on a factory or at a corporate campus headquarters, but like a mega campus, or at least one where they do manufacturing on site. So that's a lot of power. I guess you could do an off-grid campus, but why would you do that? There's so many incentives to just plug in at that scale. Let's see. Preventing degradation of capacity over the first 5 years' use is a significant advancement in increasing the lifespan of batteries. The zero degradation of power is also important for energy storage power plants, aiming to meet the requirement of new electric power systems. Leveraging biomimetic SEI, which is solid electrolyte interphase, and self-assembled electrolyte technologies. Oh, so they're using like nanotech. I don't mean like nanites, but like nanotechnology. Pretty cool stuff. Tenor has cleared roadblocks for the movement of lithium ions and achieved zero degradation for both power and capacity, ensuring zero growth of auxiliary power consumption throughout the full cycle life, thereby creating an ageless energy storage system. That's pretty cool. But I think even systems that don't have like a capacity degradation, like flywheel and pumped hydro and such, uh, you will notice differences as they age because they have moving parts. This is pretty cool. Of course, we'll need a third party to verify this, and it's going to take 5 years to know for sure. Like, hey, yeah, 100%. But we can get some scientists and labs to accelerate aging on it and see how that does. There's no word on pricing for Tenor, but Cattle has been really competitive when it comes to battery prices. This could be a disruptive product in the space. Yes, it could, and I am all about it. Let's take a scan through their comments real quick. All right, so we see Mr. Larry there. I really wish Electric would get their CSS working on their comments. BYD's QT technology has a capacity of 6.432 megawatt hours higher than the 6.25 megawatts of the Tianheng energy storage system launched by Kettle 2 days ago, according to the what was like China Post. So Tesla will be competing against the two largest battery manufacturers on the planet with a far superior product. So you're saying who's this more superior? The competition? BYD doesn't include inverters either. Oh, okay. So they're both just straight battery packs. You have to pair these gigantic batteries with another cabinet, which is a consideration because TEU container doesn't take up an unnoticeable amount of space. What Tesla's done with Megapack is offer the most value for an installed ESS system, and this is why the majority of the world's biggest battery products have chosen Megapacks. Far superior product? Question mark. These companies basically copy Tesla, and you have the guts to say they're far superior. You'll not be allowed to compete with products in the West and India, which kills the market. Um, the zero degradation is new. Inverters are exceedingly minute cost compared to batteries. That is true. I don't know about this part. Tesla no longer cost competitive. Because what they sell it at doesn't necessarily indicate what Tesla make them. Just like their cars, they can flip that up and down at will. They make the cells, they make the market, they make the superior product. Elon said this part of the business may one day be bigger than vehicles. Yeah, he said it multiple times, even on this week's call. Competition is good and will likely accelerate the adoption by utilities as the obvious benefit will be proven more widely and more cost effectively. The Australian success story really kicked off global interest, and the Australian is they're impressive. Australia and a couple of the islands they've taken straight off of the grid, or not the grid really, but off of diesel and gas. All right, let's see. Is this thing still working? It is. All right, continuing on. Elon said that years ago. Yeah, but he also said it. With continued growth of energy storage division of Tesla and not so high growth of Tesla vehicles division, top revenue division may be the energy storage later this decade. Did you look at the same charts that the rest of us just looked at? Uh, this cattle products intro could be disruptive towards the growth trends for Tesla. Time will tell if zero degradation claims to be true, but competition is good for the market, and that's what I keep saying. More choices. Electrify all the things. Let's see. What's going on with this thing? Is it working? Yes, it is. All right, so let's finish up. Well, not finish up, but let's go on to another story. This one comes to me from Facebook. Somebody is approaching my home. Somebody just opened my garage. That means it's Amazon. Electrons for All. Later this year, we'll begin opening the Rivian Adventure Network to compatible electric vehicles. Uh, so I'm gonna stop here for a second and point out that the Adventure Network is no longer closed, just like the Supercharger Network is no longer closed. Uh, the Adventure Network initially was going to be Rivian only, and that has been remedied. So we will begin introducing new chargers that feature a convenient tap to pay experience, and the ability to provide fast charging to a wide variety of EVs across a variety of battery voltages. Powered 100% by renewable energy, the Rivian Adventure Network supports our goals of electrifying transportation system and transitioning our power grid to carbon-free energy sources, all while encouraging more people to embark on their next adventure in an EV. That's great news. It's great news. I'm curious what their pricing will be, and obviously it doesn't affect me that much unless they have the better locations, because the vehicle I drive is free supercharging for life. That's good to see. They got what appears to be a Polestar plugged in there. Okay, this is Rivian Public. Before I scroll down, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a private group. I do that sometimes. This person's feeling kind of the way that some of the Tesla owners were about the exclusive access. Let's go on to an X post. There it is. Excuse me. All right. Update. Elon Musk says he believes V12 is ready for left-hand drive countries. We believe version 12 is ready for supervised FSD in left-hand drive countries, and right-hand drive will take a bit longer. I don't know why they weren't already capturing the video and inputs and everything they need from right-hand drive to make it so that it could have been ready to go on day one. Obviously, they also need to test it, so that could be really what is going to take them a bit longer. You only have so many staff who can do your internal testing. Plus, they've got so many legal problems with the way that the European Union and the UK want them to implement the system. So uh, making sure it complies with that will also be a concern. Let's go on. All right, so this is an article from Jalopnik. I didn't read the article. I read the blurb that they wrote on their social media. So the Mazda 6 is reborn as the rear-wheel drive electric EZ6, and I wrote some stuff on that. I said it a couple times. Basically, I said this could be why they were so willing to jump on the NACS train publicly right after they had canceled their 100-mile EV that wasn't selling very well at all. This Jalopnik was in their social was really pointing on. Yeah, it's right here in the byline. Customers who don't want to go full electric can also choose the plug-in hybrid version. Uh, like I said, plug-in hybrid does work for some folks, like multifamily dwellings and people who just are unable to make sure the vehicle is charged. That's about it. Uh, I don't think it's a great move for the manufacturers to do, but I do think it is a great move for uh, anyone who sometimes has a plug available to them. I like this rear wheel drive. The rear wheel drive EVs, they just seem to be more responsive, more fun. The front wheel drive automobiles, they worked for having the weight of the engine over the front wheels, so it gave you steering in limited traction situations. At, on an EV, it's generally 50-50 weight balance, and you don't get a front wheel drive bonus. So all wheel drive or rear wheel drive, just do it. Let's see. Mazda 6 is dead and has been for years. But don't worry, it's back this time around. It's rear wheel drive, which yeah, it used to be a front wheel drive car, which officially makes it the best Mazda 6 ever. Sorry, Mazda Speed 6. Along with Rising from the Dead, it now has a new name, the Mazda Easy 6. Oh, and did we mention it's electric? So I'm curious if they go into the difference between the two, uh, and how Mazda did this. If they did it competently, or if it has all the compromises of trying to find a place to put an engine. Let's see. Da, da, da. I like the way this interior looks. It's sleek, it's modern. I don't know why all the cars have to have like a bridge separating the driver and passenger seats like this. I mean, what if you wanted to slide on over to the passenger seat and read a book? Obviously not when you're driving, but like when you've stopped. Or if you're riding with your significant other and you want to touch them or they want to touch you. Anyway, these vents look nice. The screen looks familiar. More vents down here. Looks like they've got wireless charging for your phones up there. Cup holders appear useful and functional. And while it's not the color I would pick, that color actually does look pretty attractive. And it doesn't seem to have buttons everywhere. I mean, you've got a lot of buttons on the wheel. And I'm seeing a little bit of. Was there a zoom on this thing? It had a zoom arrow. I'm seeing a little bit of an ADAS going on. Like it's showing out what Tesla calls ego, where the car is showing you what it's perceiving. And this thing that we're seeing on the screen appears that it will be a multifunctional screen. And like the Tesla and the Aptera, it looks like all of your climate controls and such are on screen. I like this. I like this interior. It doesn't look like the cockpit of a 747 or a Concorde. If it had steer by wire, I'd want a yoke, but if it doesn't have steer by wire, then a wheel is perfectly fine. It's also got the flat bottom wheel that we saw in the S's. My ex had that as well. So the premium sporty cars. Let's see. It's got a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. That's what I was just talking about there with the rear wheel drive, right? It doesn't say anything about how the engine on the plug-in hybrid changes things. Oh, and that is something to consider because the engine, no matter how you look at it, is a big chunk of weight right up front. They could very easily counter it by battery placement, but will it have enough battery? Interesting. Enough battery to make that much of a difference. It's about 2 inches longer than the old Mazda 6, okay, coming in at 193.7 inches. The electric should have 373 miles of range. Not a bad debut, Mazda. You finally pulled your head out of the sand. I was going other places with that, but saved. um, and not naughty. I was just going somewhere else completely different with it. But wow, sounds impressive until you realize. Oh darn it! It's using C rules, which are even more generous than the already generous WLTP rules. So make this probably 200 miles range, a little bit more, just to be safe. And then let's wait and see what it actually does. If it was tested by EPA, we wouldn't be surprised to see EZ6's official range in the US come under the 300-mile mark. While meanwhile, Mazda says that if you opt for the plug-in hybrid, you should be able to drive more than 600 miles on a single tank. I mean, that's easy enough. You need a big enough tank and a decent battery, and if your battery can do enough of your daily drives that you can make it home to plug back in or make it to work to plug back in. I mean, I went for a full year without buying gas in my first Volt. My second Volt didn't stand a chance because my wife loves to take trips, even more than I do. So it it got filled up rather regularly, like once every 3 months or so. We just had comments. Good evening, Anders. Good to see you. Yes. All right, so this is good to see that Mazda is actually they haven't completely left the market. So this car, except for in the States, and Canada and Mexico, wouldn't use NACS. But it's also like a real EV, better than their. Not that their 100-mile car wasn't an EV, but it was almost $40,000, and it had 100-mile range. Not the best for the modern era. It would have been great in 2012, but this is 2024, not 2020. So this one is finally nice to see. It's a real option. The fact that they're starting in China, does that mean it's going to stay in China? The article doesn't touch on that yet. Oh, here we go. Yes, it does. While we won't get to see the EZ6 in the US, Mazda says customers in China should expect production to begin by the end of the year. All right, so why won't we see this in the US? This look, and it's already bigger than the last Mazda 6, so you can't say it's because it's a small car. Are there just not enough parts for you? Are you so hurt by the experience with your 100-mile car that you think that the Americans won't buy it? Why do we miss? Is it because it's a sedan instead of an SUV? Why don't we get to enjoy this thing? Let's delve into the comments and see how bad they are. Uh, the car probably won't be considered the best Mazda ever made. I don't know. It's not like a Mazda 6 ever lighted your world on fire or sounded like a V8 AMG. For this type of appliance car, an EV is probably for the best. And thanks to rear-wheel drive, no torque steer, and most likely a better chassis balance. I mean, if anybody ever drove rear-wheel drive, there's nothing like rear-wheel drive pushing out of a corner, and EV will give you this instant torque out of the corner. What was my last rear-wheel drive car? I had a '95 Nissan pickup. I had a Mazda MPV van. That was four-wheel drive, but it was not full-time four-wheel drive, so that was rear-wheel drive most of the time. I had a Lincoln Continental. I'm pretty sure since that was just a Taurus, that was front-wheel drive. Yeah, so I've only had two rear-wheel drive cars, and then they were all front-wheel drives until the Teslas, all-wheel drive, full-time all-wheel drive. And yes, the Mazda was all-wheel drive as well, four-wheel drive, but you had to flip a switch for that to happen. And I had rarely any use for that because I tend to drive on roads. Uh, Nothing particularly exciting about this guy. Active 2.5 liter under the hood of my 6. Thoroughly average in many ways. A Mazda Speed 6 back in the day was a pretty good enthusiast car. I kind of take issue with your gatekeeping as what an enthusiast car is. An enthusiast car can take many forms. Not everyone can afford a V8 AMG or its ilk, or even have a second enthusiast car like a Mazda Miata, BRZ, or Mustang. So those people might need to get something like the Mazda 6. It can haul the family around and yet still be enjoyable to drive on a back road. It's kind of been my whole driving experience. I've only really had justification for one car. I mean, I've only had one car at a time, but not a lot of reason for having two cars most of the time. That's fine, but then an EV can also consider an enthusiast car with the same mindset. Yeah. Length is less important than wheelbase. The Fiat 124 is like 6 inches longer than the Miata is than the Miata it's based on, but it has the same wheelbase and no additional room because all that length is the result of different body panels, which is just a way of saying that the car's exterior dimensions can change by a lot without being meaningful, except when you're going to park it. Okay. Not a hatchback, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, why isn't it a hatchback? Got an itty bitty trunk like the Model 3 opening. That's a good point right there, though. In the picture, they had the car opened with a hatchback. Also, this liftback version on the infotainment screen. They could be a hatchback. I've seen a couple that have this designs about them that are still full hatchbacks. Where is the rest of the back of this vehicle? The line right up there. That could be the rear window, or it could be the where the hatch bends up. we'll have to wait and see on that one. I was admiring its looks until I got to the rear view. It has almost a tragic case of the hatchback without an opening hatch. Problem that's with all modern sedans. Here you see the ludicrously short trunk. It's more of a mail slot than a trunk. And then this person also points out, might be the same person, that the screen showed it as a hatchback. I hope the screen is right, and or at least that's an option that these people are wrong. Well, we won't get to see the Easy 6 in the US. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yes. That's the right reaction. Is it just me, or does this look like Mazda outsourced the design to Nissan? Except for the nose, I agree. Rebadged SL03. Nothing to see here. Oh. Yeah, it's a lot easier when you borrow somebody else's homework, isn't it? I mean, that looks right, and that would explain why it's China only if it's based on a China car. It's crazy to say this, but the back end looks pretty generic nowadays. All right, that's enough of that. Let's move on to the next thing. All right, this is an X post. What have I done on X? Aside from get 4 notifications. Update: the Folsom Police Department have received their 2 new Tesla police cars. I see a Model 3 and a Model Y here. Interesting, interesting choice. But what's cool here is it allows them to see what suits their needs. A Model Y will give them more utility and easier ingress and egress with the belts on, but you can get more Model 3s for the price. So if not everybody is using the belts, like say you've got more administrative folks like traffic enforcement or parking enforcement or the chiefs, those sorts of folks, then yeah, save some money and get the 3s. But also, if you need it, get the Y. And I see that the 3 is also either a long range or a base of some sort, while the Y is a performance. You can see the red brakes poking out and the wheels that are used. Interesting. So Model 3 long range, so it's long range, you ever see it in the text, and a Model Y performance. According to Folsom, the cost of the Tesla vehicles was approximately $20,000 less than the cost of 2 Ford Explorer police vehicles. Incredible. So that's before you even consider the operating expenses savings. So just the straight up purchase price was cheaper. They're making strong headwind. Eyes. 20,000 less for a safer, more efficient vehicle. The whole police fleet should be switching over, especially the Cybertrucks. And they probably aren't factoring in the reduced cost of maintenance over. It doesn't appear they are. It looks like they're talking about purchase price. Yeah. Nice. I'm sure those bank robbers will wait for them to finish charging. What an uninformed numpty. Uh, they will be charged before they start their shifts, and they won't all charge at the same time. So yeah, those bank robbers, they ain't going nowhere. Anyway, let's continue on. I wish there was a dislike button or thumbs down. Yeah, that's stupid. So, uh, this is a follow up from August 23rd, 2023, when they said they were going to do it, and now they've done it. And from what we've seen with all the other police departments, they're gonna enjoy this trial, and then they're gonna buy more. So that's nice to see. Okay, so like I said, this is going to be a shorter show today because we've got some stuff going on tomorrow, late tonight, and hopefully everything goes well, and I'll be able to share some further details with you on Wednesday on the Tesla Life Show, or again next week, this time on here. Let's chat with Kacey Green and friends. So we'll catch you next on Monday at the Tesla Life Express. And thank you all for your time today, and for putting up with my late start and lack of organization because I got off in the depths of the tweets. And I want to thank our channel members for their continued um, monetary support of the channel. And I will catch all of you on the flip side.